When I look back now, I still don't understand why we moved into that house. Maybe it was desperation. Maybe it was pride. Or maybe the house itself had been waiting for people like us, people who didn't ask too many questions. It started after the fire. Our old apartment in Surulere had gone up in smoke one hot Saturday night. One faulty wire, the electrician said later. We stood in the street, watching everything we owned turn to ash. I remember the smell, burnt plastic, damp cement, and that strange sweetness of smoke that clings to your clothes. None of us said much. What was there to say? By us, I mean me and my three closest friends, Kemi, Bayo, and Ife. We had known each other since university. After graduation, we all ended up working in Lagos, struggling like everyone else. Rent was high, salaries low, and the city didn't care. So we shared a flat to survive. After the fire, we crashed with friends for a while, sleeping on sofas, eating noodles, pretending it was all temporary. But after a few weeks, reality sank in. We needed a new place, fast and cheap. Bayo found it first. A listing online. 2-bedroom flat, newly renovated, low price, easy access to main road. When he showed it to us, we laughed. The price was too low. In Lagos, that's never a good sign. But Bayo insisted. Let's just check it out, he said. Maybe we'll be lucky this time. The address was number 44, Odulaja Street, in an area I didn't know well. I remember the first time we drove there. The street was quiet, surprisingly quiet for Lagos. Tall trees lined the road, their leaves heavy with dust. Some of the houses looked abandoned. The others had high fences, the kind that said, "Mind your business." Number 44 was a plain 2-story building. Cream paint peeling in places, black gate slightly bent, but it looked solid, safe. There was even a small veranda in front. A woman met us there, middle-aged, with tired eyes and a soft voice. She introduced herself as Madam Grace, the caretaker. "You're lucky," she said. "People have been calling since yesterday, but you're the first to come see it." Inside, the house smelled of paint and dust. The walls were freshly done, the tiles shiny. It wasn't fancy, but it felt right. The rent was almost half what we paid before. I kept waiting for her to mention some big problem, maybe no water or power issues, but she just smiled. "The landlord lives abroad," she said. "He just wants responsible people. No noise, no trouble." We paid the next day. Moving in felt like starting over. We bought secondhand furniture, borrowed plates, and told ourselves that the house would be a good place for a new beginning. The street was calm, almost too calm. At night, the silence pressed against the windows. Lagos never sleeps, but somehow, number 44 did. The first few days were peaceful. We cleaned, unpacked, laughed. Ife cooked most nights. Her jollof rice could make anyone forget their troubles. Kemi worked from home, always on her laptop, humming to herself. Bayo liked to play loud music, but out of respect for the quiet area, he used his headphones. I worked long hours, so I was usually the last to get home. One night, maybe our fourth in the house, I noticed something strange. As I walked down the hallway to my room, I heard footsteps behind me, soft ones, like someone walking barefoot. I turned, but no one was there. The corridor light flickered once and went still. I told myself it was just my imagination. New houses always make new sounds. Later that night, as I was drifting to sleep, I heard it again, faint, slow steps, moving from one end of the corridor to the other. I sat up and listened. The sound stopped. I waited a few seconds, then got up and opened my door. The corridor was empty. I stood there, listening. The house was so quiet I could hear my heartbeat. I almost laughed. Maybe it was Ife or Kemi going to the bathroom. I decided not to bother anyone. Back in bed, I pulled the sheet up to my chest and forced my eyes shut. The next morning, over breakfast, I asked casually, "Did anyone walk around last night?" They all shook their heads. "No, oh," Kemi said, pouring tea. I slept like a stone. Same, Ife added. Why? Nothing. I just thought I heard footsteps. Bayo laughed. My guy? No start that 1-0. You know how Lagos houses be. Rats, wood, or wind. Everything sounds like ghost for night. We all laughed, and the conversation moved on. But deep down, something didn't feel right. 2 days later, Ife complained that she couldn't sleep. She said she kept hearing someone whispering outside her window around 2 a.m., soft voices, too low to understand. When she looked out, no one was there. Probably people walking by, I said, trying to sound confident. But Odulaja Street was quiet, too quiet. By the end of the first week, small things started happening. Lights flickered even when power was stable. Doors creaked open on their own. The kitchen tap would drip even after we closed it tightly. Nothing dangerous, just odd. One evening, I came home before the others. The sun was setting and the whole house glowed orange. I was tired, but something felt off. I couldn't explain it. The air was heavy, like the house was holding its breath. I walked to the living room and saw the curtain move slightly, as if someone had brushed past it. The window was closed. I went to my room, lay on the bed, and stared at the ceiling. The silence was thick. Then I heard it again, those faint footsteps in the corridor, moving slowly, carefully, as though whoever it was didn't want to be heard. I jumped up, heart pounding, and opened the door. Empty hallway. But this time, something caught my eye. The light switch. It was moving slightly, like someone had just touched it. A tiny shadow flashed against the wall, then disappeared. I swallowed hard. Hello? My voice cracked. No answer. Just the sound of the ceiling fan. I backed into my room and locked the door. That night, I didn't sleep. The next day, I told the others what happened. They laughed again, but their eyes said they were uneasy too. Maybe we just need to pray, Ife said softly. Or call Nipa, Bayo joked, forcing a grin. But that night, all of us heard it. The footsteps. Slow, soft, steady. Moving up and down the corridor, like someone pacing. We didn't talk about it in the dark. We just lay there, listening, waiting for morning. The next morning, none of us spoke about what happened in the night, but I could see it in everyone's faces. Dark circles, tired eyes, the kind that only come from lying awake too long, pretending not to be scared. Bayo tried to lighten the mood. Abeg, maybe we should invite a pastor to pray small, he said, half joking, half serious. Kemi rolled her eyes. You people are too dramatic. Maybe it's the neighbor's generator making the noise. Ife looked up from her tea. But there's no neighbor close to us. The next house is number 46, and it's empty. That was true. Number 46 had a broken fence and overgrown grass. I had never seen anyone go in or out. I shrugged. Let's just give it time. Maybe the house is settling, but I didn't believe my own words. That night, it started again, only louder. The sound came just after midnight. This time it wasn't footsteps, but a faint tapping, like fingers drumming on wood. It started from the living room, moved down the hallway, then stopped near my door. I froze in bed, every nerve in my body alert. The tapping came again, slower now, 3 times, then silence. I waited, counting seconds. 1, 2, 10. Then something brushed my door, a soft scrape, like cloth against wood. I sat up quickly. Who's there? I whispered. No reply. I got out of bed and switched on my phone's flashlight. The narrow beam cut through the darkness as I turned the handle and opened the door slowly. The corridor stretched out, empty and still. Nothing moved. But at the far end, I saw something that made my heart skip. The front door was open, just a small gap, maybe 2 inches, but I knew I had locked it before going to bed. I walked carefully, shining the light ahead. The floor creaked under my feet. When I reached the door, I stopped and listened. Outside was dead quiet. I closed the door firmly, locked it again, and turned back. Then I heard Kemi's door open. "Chuka?" she whispered. "Yes? You too?" I nodded. She stepped out, wearing her wrapper, looking scared. I heard the sound again. I thought maybe it was you walking around. Ife's door opened next, then Bayo's. All of us were awake now, standing in the dim light of the corridor like people waiting for bad news. No one spoke for a while. We just looked at each other, each hoping someone would explain it all away. Finally, Bayo said, "Okay, this one dawn pass joke. We need to find out what's going on." The next morning, we agreed to search the house, room by room, wall by wall. Maybe there were rats in the ceiling, or a loose pipe making noise. We started with the living room, nothing strange. Then the kitchen, spotless, except for a faint stain near the windowsill. It looked old, brownish, like something had leaked long ago. When we got to the corridor, Ife noticed a thin crack on the wall just above the light switch. "Was this here before?" she asked. "No," I said. "I would have seen it." The crack was almost straight, about the length of my hand. I touched it lightly, and a small bit of plaster fell off. Behind the plaster, there was a faint mark, something drawn on the wall itself. A rough symbol, like a circle with lines through it. "What's that?" Kemi asked, stepping closer. I shook my head. "Maybe some construction mark," and he wanted into station. But the more I looked, the less it looked like something a builder would draw. It was too deliberate, too careful, almost like a sign. We covered it back and pretended it didn't matter. That night, we decided to leave all the lights on. Bayo even put his Bluetooth speaker in the hallway, playing soft music to break the silence. It helped for a while. The sound made the house feel alive again. But around 2 a.m., the music stopped on its own. One moment it was playing, the next silence. Then we heard it. The footsteps again, slow and dragging, moving down the hall. This time, we all heard it clearly. Bayo shouted from his room, "Who dey there?" No answer. We came out together, each of us holding something. Bayo had a broom. I held a torchlight. Kemi clutched her phone. The corridor was still. Then, from the far end, the light bulb flickered twice and went out. Kemi gasped. "Jesus!" We stood frozen. The darkness was thick, the kind that made you feel watched. I could hear my own breathing. Then a faint sound, something like a sigh, coming from the wall itself. Ife whispered, "Let's go outside." We didn't argue. We grabbed our keys and ran out of the house barefoot. Outside, the night air hit us like cold water. The street was empty. The few streetlights were dim, their glow barely touching the road. We stood there for a while, catching our breath. No one said anything. Finally, Bayo muttered, "This house no clean. I swear, no clean." We ended up sitting outside till sunrise. The next day, we called Madame Grace, the caretaker. She came that afternoon, smiling as usual. "Good afternoon, my children. What happened?" I explained everything, the sounds, the open door, the symbol on the wall. Her smile faded a little. She looked around the house, running her hand along the walls, as if feeling for something. Finally, she said quietly, "This house has been empty for long. The last people who stayed here left suddenly." "Why?" I asked. She hesitated. "They said they were hearing things. But me, I don't believe in all that. I think maybe it's just old wiring and rats." "Madam," Kemi said, "please, be honest. Did anything bad happen here?" The woman sighed. "Long ago, before the landlord traveled, he rented the house to one family, a man, his wife, and their daughter. One morning, neighbors said they heard shouting. When they came, the man had disappeared. Police came, searched everywhere, nothing. The wife left Lagos not long after. Since then, people don't stay here long." We stared at her. "So, why didn't you tell us before?" Bayo asked. She frowned slightly. "Would you have rented it if I told you?" No one answered. She patted my shoulder. "Don't worry, pray small. Sometimes these things are just stories." But her eyes didn't match her words. When she left, the silence in the house felt heavier than before. That evening, we sat in the living room. eating quietly. The air was thick with tension. Every small sound made us flinch. "I think we should move out," Ife said finally. "We can't," I said. "We paid 6 months' rent. We don't even have money for transport." She nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. "Then what do we do?" I didn't have an answer. That night, the house was quiet again, too quiet. I almost wished for the footsteps, just so I knew what I was afraid of. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. My phone was beside me, the torchlight on. Around 3 a.m., just when I was drifting off, I heard something soft, a voice, a woman's voice. She was humming. The sound came from somewhere near the living room, low and calm, like a lullaby. I froze, my blood cold. It wasn't coming from any of my friends' rooms. I could hear them breathing softly. The humming was distant, almost gentle, but there was no mistaking it. Someone was singing inside the house.